The holiday season can be ludicrous. Although this year it's doubly true because Disney Plus is releasing Dashing Through the Snow, a holiday movie spectacular starring, you guessed it, Chris Ludacris Bridges. The rapper/actor is joined by Lil Rey Howery and a great supporting cast to give us a new and hilarious-looking take on the tale of Santa Claus magically showing up in real life. So I thought I'd get in the Christmas spirit and go through what we know so far about this upcoming holiday romp. So what's Dashing Through the Snow all about? Well, like all good Christmas movies, it has a character who has decided that Christmas isn't for them. And while our protagonist isn't at Grinch level of hate when it comes to the holiday, he's definitely not looking to carol around and trim a tree anytime soon. Chris Bridges, whom I really want to refer to as Luda, but I won't in the name of professionalism, plays Eddie Garrick. Eddie had some sort of event when he was a kid that traumatized him for all things Christmas. So while he's definitely not written as a Scrooge or other kind of bad dude, he's clearly putting out negative vibes as the holiday approaches. Eddie's wife asks him to look after their daughter on Christmas Eve, so she accompanies him to his work as a social worker. See, he's a good dude. While working, the two encounter Lil Rey's character, Nick. And it looks like it's a bit unclear if Nick is, that Nick, the one with the saint in front of his name, or perhaps he's just a guy named Nick who is, we'll say, eccentric, to be kind. Though, given that it's a Disney Christmas movie, I'd put my money on him being Santa. Who knows? Over the course of the movie, the trio ends up angering a local politician who sends henchmen after them, and of course, magical Xmas-themed chaos ensues. And maybe, just maybe, the experience will turn Eddie into a believer in the wonder of Christmas again. One thing that sets this movie apart from many of the traditional Christmas movies we've seen is that it's a cast full of people of color. Chris Bridges and Lil Rey Howery are both firmly established as prominent black entertainers, so it's not only exciting to see them working together, but as co-leads in a major project like this. And Bridges' wife and daughter are played by Teyonah Parris and Madison Skye Validum, respectively, who are both people of color. It's a refreshing change of pace from the usual white Christmas we see. And on top of that, the director, Tim Story, is black as well. From the trailer, however, it appears the movie is being marketed equally to all audiences. You just have to like Christmas movies, duh. So that's also a great thing to see. It's far from Tim Story's first time behind the camera for a major project, though it's a decidedly new genre for him. He's a Hollywood veteran when it comes to helming great movies, getting his start in films by directing the comedy classic Barbershop. That was after spending half a decade honing his skills as a music video director. And since then, he's been behind the camera for a slew of great movies, from Fantastic Four to Ride Along to the recent horror comedy The Blackening. So clearly the movie is in good hands. Though Tim did admit that when he found out he was working with Disney, it definitely made him nervous. It's his first time working with the Mouse House, and he was keenly aware of its importance in terms of society, culture, and the holidays. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, he talked about how it's always been his goal to create entertaining content that appeals to both adults and teens. But at the same time, he hadn't really done any movies aimed at including little kids in the demographic. So that was daunting for starters. But then he also realized how important it was not to mess up his big chance with Disney and to represent the brand in the best light. So he made sure to dial everything up when it came to the visual aspects. Said Tim, quote, "Anytime I was able to decorate a room or a place, it's Disney, so you also try to take it just a little bit farther than maybe it would go elsewhere." In that same interview, Story talked about how impressed he was with the chemistry between Chris Bridges and Lil Rey. Obviously, the two come from different backgrounds in entertainment, with Ludacris starting as a rap megastar and Lil Rey as a comedian and actor. But Story found that they gelled immediately and worked off of each other brilliantly. He said they not only allowed for space for each other, which brought out excellent performances from both of them, but they also found the balance of playing their characters in a grounded manner while still allowing the magic and whimsy of a Disney film to come through. Story added, quote, "I got very lucky that they both were willing and able to do it." Rounding out the main trio in the movie is Madison Skye Validum, who plays Eddie's daughter. But apparently the filming schedule was really tricky for her, as in she literally couldn't be there for a lot of the filming. I'm assuming it had to do with school. Either way, it meant that Lil Rey and Chris Bridges had to do a lot of their scenes acting to an empty space. Then Madison came in later and filmed her parts, and they added her to the scenes in post-production. Tim Story was thoroughly impressed with how well both of them handled this rather odd scenario. Though he did also mention what a positive effect Madison had on the set when she was able to be there, especially because she was always excited and happy to be there. And her happiness made it a lot easier for the cast and crew to stay positive. He added, quote, "You would see her eyes go big when she saw certain things. She always brought that spirit, and she reminded you constantly what you were doing." The movie comes out on Disney Plus on November 17th, giving you plenty of time to catch it and ramp up your holiday cheer. In addition to the cast I mentioned, it also has a great supporting cast, including comedy veterans like Oscar Nunez, Marilyn Ricegub, Ravi V. Patel, and Kevin Connolly. So now that you know it's going to be a ludicrous holiday season, you can start planning today. Well, actually, the only new plans you need to make might just be leaving time to watch Dashing Through the Snow. Otherwise, you can just do what you usually do, which, if you're anything like me, means gaining 10 pounds and then blaming it on the cold. Who's with me? Have any thoughts about Dashing Through the Snow? Pop them in the comments section.